The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
And welcome back into the Sportsocracy. I'm Tank Spencer. Jeremy Greene is alongside, as always, and we are in the Ingles studio, ingles-markets.com. Low prices, love the savings. 2022 post-Senior Bowl 7-round mock drafts continue with the Chicago Bears.
Hey, we've done such a great job of going through the draft and not pissing off any team. And, hey, there's one that I probably will.
Oh, you're going to?
You remember that thing I said when you should not have given up a first-round pick to go get Justin Fields?
Uh-huh.
Well, now you're going to find out why.
All right. First pick for them comes in the second round with the 39th overall selection. David Bell, the wide receiver out of Purdue.
Well, they get very lucky that one of the receivers is still available at 39. I like this kid a lot. It has a little bit of a hands problem. Not the greatest hands you've ever seen, but he's a very good route runner. 6'2", 205, played a lot out of the slot, which makes me a little nervous, but I do think he can play on the outside. The problem, if you're a Bears fan, is that you gave up your one. Because if you had not done that, and I fully believe Justin Fields would have fallen right in your lap. You can disagree with me if you want to. I just tell you, I talked to a lot of people that work with teams. There were not a lot of loving grades on Justin Fields. New England sure as hell wasn't taking him. Denver had already bypassed him. So it just never made a whole lot of sense to me. Well, now, if you had your first-round pick, you would have the ability to add somebody like, Drake London. Then you could have added Trey McBride or another weapon with that second-round pick. Now you don't have that. So you're going to have to use a little bit of your cap space. You got about $30 million. I think they're going to have to go big game hunting after a receiver. Bad thing is, that's not the only problem on this team. They have a lot of issues, and you have 5 picks total. 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and then 3 in day 3. You're just not going to be able to fix the problems with that team, with this team, with that kind of capital. But David Bell does go a long way. I think he would be a starting outside receiver immediately. On the other side, you would have somebody in the Mike Williams. I think Chicago is going to have to overpay to go get a high-end receiver to be their true number one.
In the third round, pick 71 overall, Daniel Falelay, the tackle guard out of Minnesota.
I think he can play tackle. He is a gigantic human, 6'9", 390. Got absolutely obliterated at the Senior Bowl.
Yes.
Had one of the worst weeks of anybody out there, but he was a back-end first-round pick before this. The thing I just said about the Bears having a slew of problems, one of them is your left tackle is 806 years old. Tevin Jenkins, I think, will ultimately be the left tackle. You have deficiencies on this line. You know, Cody Whitehair was not good last year. Larry Borum was not good last year. And with Justin Fields, you're going to have to put a good line in front of him or he will get killed because he holds the ball too long. And when he takes off, he doesn't protect himself. Do I think that's their biggest need? No. But to make Justin Fields, because you got to look at how many deficiencies are on the defense.
True.
I mean, Eddie Goldman was one of the worst defensive tackles in the league last year.
Well,
but you don't have the capital to take care of that.
Right. Well, when your quarterback gets killed 9 times against the Cleveland Browns, you feel like that's got to be the blatant, obvious thing we need to fix, right? Well, but it is.
Well, and the bad thing is that there's not anybody that fixes the biggest problem. There's going to be a reshuffle. You're going to have to just bring in talent, and I'm not going to lie. By the time you pick in the third round, that's the only third-round graded offensive lineman left at any position. Tackle, guard, center. It doesn't matter. They're all gone because this is a draft that is bereft of sure things. And so by the time they come around, that's the best you're going to do.
Well, he's a big one. That is for sure. In the 5th round, they got 2 picks here. 147 overall, going to the interior of the offensive line with a kid out of UT San Antonio, Spencer Burford.
I'm almost remiss to call him an offensive lineman because he's not. He is a football player that just so happens to line up with his hand in the dirt and then try to block somebody.
Okay.
Technique is greatly lacking, but he's super athletic. Not a lot of bad habits, ran in a kind of quirky-ass offense at UT San Antonio. So there's a lot of natural ability here. He's very smooth, very good hips, very good hands. The only thing is that the technique is freshman and college level. So he's going to be a year away from being a year away, most likely. Bad thing is for Chicago, there's a high probability that he ends up in your starting lineup before the year is over. You've missed too many times on linemen, and now you just don't have the capital. Now, on the bright side, I know I've started very doom and gloom here for Chicago. On the bright side, you do have money. So you can go value hunting. There's a lot of needs here.
And this kid, big kid, 6'5", 293 is what I have him listed at. And as long as you said he's mobile, so maybe he can be a project.
He would certainly be a project.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that will help you in the run game pretty quickly. Really needs to refine the pass blocking technique, that's what scares me and the reason he's available in the 5th round.
At 149 overall in the 5th round, Jojo Doman, linebacker out of Nebraska.
This kid has physical limitations. If he didn't, he would go drastically in front of this because the tape's very good. The problem is he's not very quick. He's more athletic than you think, but he's not straight line fast. And I'm afraid in the NFL that's going to become a problem because the best thing he does is cover. Well, in the NFL, you're not big enough to cover tight ends. You're not fast enough to cover slot guys. So what are you going to do? You're going to wind up in a defense like this where they can drop you across the middle, and the fact that you're very instinctive and you have very good eyes will work in your favor. One of the things that nobody wants to talk about, the two inside linebackers, Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith. The highest rated one was a 46.3 PFF grade last year, and that was Roquan Smith.
Really?
Yeah. 67th, I think, among 83 or 86 graded linebackers.
He
was
insane.
80th in the league against the run. So you need somebody that's instinctive to put beside him because Roquan Smith's incredibly athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think with the transition to whatever Matt Eberflus is going to put in place here, you're going to have players that play that style of football. Jojo Doman is a Matt Eberflus kind of guy.
In the 6th round, 184 overall, the last pick of the 2022 NFL draft for the Chicago Bears. You got him getting Damien Pierce, running back out of Florida. This is a kid that popped at the Senior Bowl.
He did, and a lot of people are going to say, oh, he'll go before that. Will he, though? Because he doesn't really provide anything on 3rd down. He's not a very good pass catcher. He's not a very fluid pass catcher. And he came out of an offense in Florida that it's not like you're running high-level NFL concepts there. Now, what he can do is run between the tackles. Take some of the onus off of David Montgomery. I feel like, and I could be wrong on this, but Matt Eberflus has been around the Indianapolis Colts for so long that I feel like you're going to see a big platoon of running backs, and they're going to lean on the running game. Because I'm sure somebody's going to say, Bud, what about Khalil Herbert? What about him? This is a 6th-round pick, and I'm telling you right now, you're going to need 3 running backs in that offense because they're going to try to cover Justin Fields' deficiencies. Yeah, there was some good tape. Not much, but there was some. You're going to have to put things around him that make things easier for him. That's going to leave holes on the defense. I don't know what their free agent tact will be, but just looking at how I had this graded, they needed 2 receivers, a running back to replace Damian Williams, and I think Tariq Cohen can do that to a lesser extent as the passing down guy. David Montgomery does that really well too, but you need somebody that can run between the tackles. That's what Damien Pierce would provide. And then you have at least 4 holes on your defense. You can't fill all those with 5 picks. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I'm just trying to make – you have less draft capital than any team in the NFL by a 2nd rounder. That includes the Seattle Seahawks, who traded their one to the Jets. So it's just this is the problem with the Justin Fields thing. And I caught so much shit for it that now I'm going to sit back and partially go, well, that's what I was trying to tell you as you were calling me an idiot. Do you feel great about Justin Fields right now? Really? You feel better about him than you would have at Sam Howell sitting exactly where you were? Or Malik Willis sitting exactly where you were?
You shouldn't.
I agree. Right. You shouldn't. But, I do like I like the hiring process that went on in Chicago. Look, I didn't love the fact you brought in a defensive coach for Justin Fields, but it is what it is. Offensive guys weren't going to tie their career to him. Sorry, they weren't. So, there are things to be happy about in Chicago. I would say your defense is about to get drastically better. It rated well in some ways, but it wasn't as good as it was pawned off to be. I think your defense is going to be really good. You're going to need to be able to run the ball, and you're going to have to find some weapons. David Bell would be a weapon. Whatever you can add in free agency is a weapon, but you're going to lose Allen Robinson for nothing.
That's your 2022 post-Senior Bowl mock draft for the Chicago Bears, as chosen by Flostradamus.
I'm sure there will be many comments of calling me many names. And feel free to leave those in the comments. I do answer those every day. If there's a player that you would like to know how they fit with the Chicago Bears, feel free to leave those in the comments. This is the first of 3 mock drafts I do. There's this one post-Senior Bowl, one after the Combine and free agency dies down, and another 2 days before the 2022 NFL Draft in Las Vegas, April 28th, which we will cover every pick of live right here in the Sportsocracy.
So if you didn't like it, just tell him to do better, and maybe he'll do better next time.
Here's the thing. I got 5 picks, and 3 of them in the 5th round or later. There's only so much I can do.
I ain't got a lot to work with. Hit that subscribe button so you see all of our team-by-team content here in the Sportsocracy throughout the drafting season. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, and we will see you next time.